What's up, everybody? This is Showtime's Fight Forum, where we talk all things fights. You already know this is your boy Showtime. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. And as you know, let's get right into the nitty gritty, man. So today's discussion is going to be a recap over UFC 277, which was a pretty decent card. You know, it wasn't star-studded. Not gonna break any, pay-per-view numbers, anything like that, unfortunately. But there was a lot of good fights. And I did get my prediction as far as the fight card go. I believe I was, 3 for 2 in my predictions, which isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's not too bad. And let's just talk about each fight that was on the main card. So the first fight, which was Anthony Smith versus Ankalaev, Magomed Ankalaev, which was kind of a disappointing fight just because Anthony got injured. We don't know if it was injured. He was injured before the fight or he was injured during the fight. However, he hurt his leg or ankle or whatever it was that kind of made him immobile, and Ankalaev took advantage of him. However, I picked Ankalaev to win because I didn't think it mattered. I still, in my opinion, don't think it would have mattered either way. The way the fight was going was kind of slow paced. Nothing was really happening until something did happen, and it was all she wrote. I think Ankalaev is ready for a title shot. I know they want to do a rematch. However, that's probably the fight to make next. If they don't do the rematch, somebody gets hurt or something like that, Ankalaev should be the next man up. Or you can wait and then, get the title shot afterwards. Anthony Smith is honest, right back to the drawing board. I mean, if he wants to still try to get these championship aspirations, which I still think he should. I don't think there's such a dominant champion right now at 205 where it's like, bro, you're wasting your time, just stick to being an analyst. So I think he still has a lot of time and he should still try to fight for this championship because I do believe he's capable of winning one. So yeah, keep it going. Now, the next fight I want to talk about, which I was completely wrong about, but good Lord, which was Pantoja versus Alex Perez. Now, I picked Alex Perez because I thought, he'll be coming in refreshed. And he came in there, losing. Yes, he lost his last fight, but it was to the champion, which is respectable. And I mean, I just thought he was going to come in. He was going to be the quicker of the two. But I did know Pantoja is not a guy to sleep on because at the end of the day, he beat the two guys that are literally fighting in the co-main. So, it is something to warrant and think about when I made that prediction, but I didn't. I just sat there and said Perez was going to win. Pantoja swept this man. It was not even close for the minute and a half that this fight lasted. Pantoja played no games, and he took advantage of the fact that Perez was probably going to come in a little cold because he hasn't fought in 2 years. Took full advantage, gave him no shot, no chance, no nothing, and submitted him with a nice rear naked choke that wasn't even sunk in, but cranked on the chin a little bit. And if you've done jiu-jitsu, you don't need to have the neck to make a man tap. Because one, you can honestly cut the air supply just from the chin, and also you can do a crank bad enough to make this man say, nah, I don't want to break my jaw. That was a very tight choke. Pantoja is here. I would say he's next, but at the end of the day, we already know we have it's not a trilogy, we have a quad fight that's happening next, quadrilogy, whatever you want to call it, happening next. But Pantoja's next, man. He's got to be the next man after this fight. If you want to give him another fight, I guess go ahead. But I don't necessarily know who do you want to do. You want to do a rematch with Asbar, or do you want to go a rematch with Concar France? It could be either or. Or, like I said, just wait for the title shot. But if they're going to fight in December, which is what they're talking, I don't know because Moreno's cut's kind of bad. If they do somehow manage to get this fight to happen in December, then Pantoja should probably just wait till next year to get the fight because he definitely deserves it. And that was a phenomenal showing. Good Lord. The 125-pound division is exciting. There's a lot of exciting fighters. And I said this before, the lower you get, the more skillful these guys are. They don't normally pack as much power outside of like Figgy and some other rare people. They don't really have the knockout power, but they make up for everything else. Cardio, quickness, skill. Like there's rarely holes, like major holes in people's games. You gotta be top notch. So exciting division, is super excited to see. Now the next fight that I said that I was wrong about, which was Derrick Lewis. And here's the thing, let me just say, I said this, Derrick Lewis is probably gonna go through some stuff in order to get this dub. It wasn't gonna be a clean sweep. That's not, normally Derrick Lewis don't fight like that. He normally gets dropped, he gets hurt, something happens, gets tired, and next thing you know, he comes back with a win. That's why I'm so frustrated in the stoppage. It wasn't the worst stoppage in the world, I'm not saying that it was, but it was a bad stoppage. At the end of the day, Derrick Lewis was working his way up. This is a big time fight. These guys are top 10 or whatever in their division. And at the end of the day, you gotta let these men fight. Like, he wasn't asleep, he got hurt. Derrick gets hurt all the time. He finds ways to survive, and then he finds a way to land his big shot. So it's hard for me to be like okay with it because Derrick, like, it happens so often. How many times have we seen Derrick get the hell beat out of him, come back and knock a dude out? Happens way too often. So I mean, he was working his way back up. He very well could have got knocked the hell out in 10 seconds or the next shot. Who knows? But I would have preferred to see that. I know head damage, this, that, and the third. These men knew what they signed up for. This is MMA. We want no doubt this man lost. And there's a lot of doubt that he really was finished at that point in time. So it's unfortunate. It is what it is. I don't know if they want to do a rematch when it came to it. I mean, it was such a quick fight. But if they do a rematch, cool. If they don't, I mean, I guess you guys can move on to your perspective, weights or whatever. Derrick, I mean, Derrick never needs to have another title shot ever again. I'm sorry. Every time he gets it worked pretty easily. And it's just not. I mean, come on. And he's already made his money. Just put this man in fun fights. I don't really care what else we do. Just don't put him no more in the title. And then stop having a fight in Texas. Don't really end well. I know he has a win or two in Texas, but most of them are bad losses. So we need to stop putting him in Texas. Put him somewhere else. I know they love him there, but he don't perform well. Great. It was a fun fight for it lasted. Just unfortunately it lasted whatever. So I ain't got too much to say about it. Now, the co-main event, which was Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara-France. First of all, fun fight, great fight. It was a great fight. Completely good. It had good parts for both guys, bad parts from both guys. And I picked Brandon to win, and I didn't think he would win by finish. I thought he was going to win by decision. Proved me wrong. Hell of a kick. If you have never been kicked, punched in the body, that's the worst. I'd rather get punched in the face than punched in the body or kicked in the body. And here's the thing, a lot of fighters, and Kai Kara-France is a tough guy. A lot of guys can withstand kicks, punches to the body. And then even when you see guys get hurt to the body, you normally see delayed reaction. They take a second and then they get. As soon as France got hit, he fell. That shows you how impactful that kick was. All right? That shows you how hard Brandon Moreno kicked him. The fight was, and the crazy thing is, in that round, that was probably Kai Kara-France's best round in the fight. He was winning pretty handily in the third round, and it was getting, I'm not gonna say it was getting back, because Moreno started to, come back towards the third round a little bit. But then he came back out and just closed the show. And if you look at some of the scorecards, one scorecard had Kai Kara-France winning. I think the other two had Brandon Moreno winning, but one only had him winning by one round. The other one had him winning by, I think, 3. So it was a close fight. Could have gone both ways. I thought the first round, I thought Brandon Moreno won, but I thought it was very competitive. Thought Moreno was the guy that was landing a little bit more, taking authoritative. He was being more authoritative in the fight, being aggressive. I did think Kai Kara-France was landing some good stuff. The second round, I thought was close-ish, but I still gave it to Moreno. And once again, this is me off of first watch. So if you sit here and say, well, this didn't happen, I'm only going off of the first time I watched it. I'm going to rewatch it today and then tomorrow and really be able to dive into it. But I like to do first reactions on how I thought, because I think that's the most accurate, because that's how you felt at the moment. Not even say the most accurate, I'm sorry, but that's the most my version of accurate. The real accuracy is obviously watching over and over again and really breaking down a fight. But this is just my first take off of it. Third round I thought was Kai Kara-France's best round. Even though the second round I thought he did well enough, but he started to build a lot of esteem. He started to get going a little bit more. And he cut Brandon Moreno, and then that's when I was like, uh-oh. And then that's when he started landing more shots, and at one point hurt him. I was like, okay, Kai Kara-France means business. But then Brandon Moreno shows he's a champ. Brandon Moreno might be one of the toughest dudes in the UFC, period. Seriously, you really think about it. The type of punishment he takes, and he doesn't get bothered. It doesn't bother him. Biggie punches hard. It's the hardest puncher in 125. Has he really dropped? Has he dropped Moreno? I don't know. And if he has, it hasn't really mattered that much. So at the end of the day, we know he's game. He withstood it, landed a good shot, finished the fight, and now we got our quadrilogy. And I cannot wait for it because, at the end of the day, I didn't think that they should have done the trilogy. I thought they should have waited, but then, unfortunately, they did it. Figgy won. I thought he lost, but it is what it is. It was a close fight. I get it. And now we got to do this quad, and hopefully this is the last one, and we can move on to other guys because Come on, man. We can't do 10 versions of these. What is it going to be? Manny Pacquiao versus Manuel Marquez? Like, I don't want to see that again. So I don't want to see 6 fights. So yeah, now the main event. The fight that was kind of easy to predict, but also difficult because you just don't know what's going to happen with her cardio, which was obviously Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. First, I have to give credit to Juliana. She is the toughest woman in the UFC. Yo. She's the toughest. I mean, yo, mentally, she might have the toughest mind in the UFC, in the UFC as well. She really does not get. She is so limited as a fighter. She is very limited. Like in my opinion, I don't mean to disrespect the girl because I think she's like such an amazing fighter. However, when it comes to skill level, I think she is very average at everything. I don't think she's good at relatively much outside of her mental toughness and maybe her cardio. But when it comes to her technique on her stand-up, super limited. The girl ran in a straight line the entire fight, but she didn't know how to pick angles. It's easier said than done. Like if you ever try to stand up, you try to box, you try to fight, it's not easy to pick angles, but she's very bad at it. She straight line, her head stays still, easy pickings for any striker, especially Amanda Nunes, the person that punches down hard. Ground game, her takedowns are decent, not good, not great. Her takedown percentage is not good. Her takedown defense is also not good. It's average. Her jiu-jitsu is decent, not great, it's decent. Her jiu-jitsu defense isn't even that good. So yeah, I mean, I don't really necessarily know what's next for the ladies. Juliana Pena, she's back to the drawing board. There's still a bunch of 135 pound fighters. Still can fight Holly Holm. Still got Jermaine Duranamy. Like there's still people there that you can fight. So yeah, back to the drawing board. We'll see who it is. But I would love to hear what you guys think about this card, these fights, and what's next for both. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Follow me on social medias at Showtime Sanders for the time being. And just make sure you guys always stay blessed, y'all.